Okay, we're back to talk about episode 2 of season 2. I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. And just getting right into episode 2. Number 1, let me ask you, how are you liking season 2 thus far?
It's okay. So the only thing is the first season, it was really easy for me to do my TikTok, my reaction videos on TikTok, and they were really good because there's a lot going on, but now it's kind of not that great, but
it's slowed down a little bit.
It did. It's not good TikTok reaction video.
But I will tell you, just hold on, because it is going to pick up. At least I think so. Season 2 is where I really fell in love with the show. And first episode of 2 in, I was kind of like, like you, it was like, because, we saw the first season, and then I remember my dad and I were so stoked. And then, like, first episode of 2 of season 2, we're like, it's pretty good. I'm kind of interested to see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But then so much, even though this is considered one of the slowest seasons of the show, so much happens. So much.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, it's like my favorite season of the whole show. So,
well, I did get a new favorite character.
Oh, who's that?
I don't know her name, but the one that came up on the horse.
Maggie.
Maggie?
Yep.
Yeah. She's BA. She's a badass.
Maggie,
I like her.
Is great. She went through a tiny little spell there where I was not that fond of her, but aside from that, she has been she's a great character. So I'm glad to know that you've met and liked Maggie.
Yeah, she's a straight up badass, man. How in the world does she even find them in the woods all random? Like what?
Pow.
Right? She just came out of nowhere.
I like after she bashes a zombie, Daryl's like, shut up. Because the zombie sits up kind of confused, like, and Daryl's like, shut up.
He did that, like, old cowboy, like, shoot from the hip, like, don't even aim thing with a crossbow.
Oh, yeah. In this episode, for the sake of record keeping, it's called Bloodletting. I try to throw or if I haven't, I want to try to throw the names of each episode on there. So this one's called Bloodletting, obviously a reference to Rick giving Carl so much blood.
Yeah.
Throughout the episode. So the episode starts with them running to the house. Didn't you kind of feel bad for Otis, like? Because he didn't mean to shoot Carl, and then I know Shane and them don't know it, but Shane's like, move, and Otis is overweight and he's like struggling. But then you find like Otis feels really bad about it.
How is he overweight in the zombie apocalypse? That's what I want to know.
Because he's a damn good hunter.
That's true. He can kill a deer and a kid in one shot.
2 for 1. We eating good.
No, I really thought that Rick was gonna like wow out on him at one point.
Oh yeah,
but he didn't. So
I like Otis in the show. He's just like Otis really does remind me of someone we'd see around here in the South. Like
that's true. Just
a nice, good like country boy, and I mean like he really did like he volunteered to go with Shane to help him find that stuff and was very concerned. So it's like, I feel awful for him being in that position too of accidentally shooting someone's son when you can tell it wasn't, he wasn't nonchalant about it. Like it genuinely bothered him.
And he booked it to the house, man. He ran the whole way.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's impressive for him.
Well, I mean, when you got Shane behind you going, move.
He was probably scared though, honestly.
And he's carrying a shotgun. It's like, okay.
He was probably scared they would retaliate if he didn't just listen to their demands.
This dude's got a revolver, the other one's got a shotgun, and I just shot his kid.
Right, exactly. So, but no, I do like him. He seems very sincere. So,
yep. What about Herschel? You met the sweetheart,
the doctor dude.
Yes, Herschel is.
I do really like him. He is really sweet. He's a precious old man.
He is. He's so precious. That's how I will describe Herschel from here forward. He is a
precious AF.
Precious AF. What's interesting too is so Otis in the show is like a good dude. Well, Otis in the comics wasn't necessarily a bad dude, but he also was pretty racist at one point in the comics, and they don't really, you know, so it is interesting if you read the comics how some of the characters are changed. Like they have their, and then in the comics he was kind of skinny and doofy looking, whereas in the show, you know, he's a little more overweight and just looks like a traditional Southerner. He's probably the most accurate The Walking Dead has gotten to like a real Southerner.
I agree. I will fully agree with you on that. Maybe they just felt like they only had room for one super racist person on the show. And that would be Merle.
Yep. What's bad is like and old Merle. And at this point, you know, we don't even know what Merle's doing. He's just out in the world.
I'm holding out, man. I'm holding out for Merle.
No hand. What did you think about the moment between Rick and Shane where I thought it was a very sweet moment where you know, where Rick comes out and he's covered in blood and Shane wipes it off of him, and then he's telling him like, you know, leave the rest to me. I mean, Shane's showing some humility there.
That's true. He should.
I mean, considering 2 episodes ago he was trying to molest dude's wife.
Exactly. Like, Shane, you owe it to him. Well, it was funny though when he said, leave the rest to me, but then they were like, we need you to go to the zombie infested school and get this stuff. And he's like, is it too late to take that back?
Yeah, like, well, I just meant I'm here to support you, not do that. And, you know, now that I go back and watch that episode, one issue that I had was, I'm like, okay, don't get me wrong. You know, I don't mind when shows do this, so I'm not ridiculing the show, but it's like, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, but like, couldn't one of you just, like, couldn't y'all have opened a gate or something and one of you just went, like, to the front of the place and been like, hey, and got them all out? Then the other one could have ran in and got their stuff and y'all could have booked it? Because at the end of the day, these zombies really don't move that fast.
That's true. I had a thought as well. Why didn't they take more flares with them so they could throw them when they were ready to come out?
Yep, because, I mean, he did, if I remember correctly, Otis did say that place was very overrun. Last time he saw it, but maybe they had cleared out, which clearly they had not. So
they did not.
And I know that they were kind of, that I know. And again, that's not criticizing the show. That's just, you know, one of those things where it's like we look in our own lives so much like, man, I should have done it this way, or I should have did that, or shit, whatever.
100%.
So I mean,
that's the story of my life, for real.
Totally understandable. But like, I would have definitely been like, all right, I know we're on a time crunch and we're trying to get this done before Carl dies, but we gotta figure something out, because we is not just storming up in there.
Well, I can't believe that they actually like went to the little like truck thing without a plan on how to get out.
Oh, I know. Like,
that doesn't seem very Shane-like.
No, I don't think. And I think that Shane really cares about Carl too. Now, I think Shane's, like, you know, genuinely upset that he got shot, so he's probably not thinking with a clear head either when it comes to the planning of all of this. Yeah,
that's true. You're probably right. But he's a cop, man. He ought to be used to this.
That's a good point. Like, he is a cop, and they definitely are trained in, you know, to function in high stress situations.
Right. But then again, being in the middle of the zombie apocalypse is probably more stressful than anything they ever trained for. So
no doubt. And I mean, your best friend's son's just been shot. So I mean, it's definitely and I'm sure even the best trained police officer, when it's something personal involved, you know, something that, you know, it's probably tough for them. But so we met Herschel, you met Maggie on the horse, and that, okay, so I, a few episodes back, referenced Andrea.
Okay.
And how something was going to happen with her where she was distressed, and it just always made me laugh because I thought she looked so goofy. Did you finally see that scene?
Is it the one where the zombie like snuck up on her?
Yeah, and she's on the ground and they slow-mo it, and she's like, I mean, she didn't really sound like that, but I just imagine, like, if they slow-moed the sound, it would be like,
I honestly didn't pay much attention to her. Because first of all, the zombie scared the crap out of me too, because when I saw it, I thought it was Daryl. And then it was not.
You thought Daryl then turned.
No, I just was like thinking
got you.
That was him walking, but it ended up not being him. And then Maggie came out of nowhere and saved the day. And I was like, oh. So I really wasn't paying that much attention to Andrea.
Yeah, that happens a lot throughout the show. And to all the Andrea fans out there, I apologize. I'm sure there's a character that I like that you don't like. I mean, I like Shane. Well, I don't like Shane. No, I do. I like Shane on the show. You know, I definitely think while he's got his faults, he adds a good layer of drama to the show.
Yeah.
Definitely keeps things, fresh and shaken up. But, and so they're, they on this episode, Maggie comes and tells them where they can find them, what's bad is I thought too, as she's telling them, she's like, go back up to so-and-so and go back a few miles and look for so-and-so road. You'll see green on the mailbox. And I'm thinking as she's riding off, I'm never going to find that.
Yeah. Well, then again, I don't know how she found them, so.
Well, as much as Andrea was screaming yet again, 2 episodes with Andrea screaming, she probably just followed the sound of Andrea screaming.
You know what? That was probably the whole part of the plot. Because if Andrea hadn't screamed, she might not would have ever found them. So maybe they had to do that so that Maggie could find them.
Yeah, because they were out looking for Sophia. They heard the gunshot, of course, and Lori's kind of freaking out, understandably. And then it's like, Maggie knew what highway they were on, but I'm guessing maybe she was. You would have thought maybe she was staying off the roads to avoid the zombies and going through the woods. And when she heard the screaming, she thought that might be them, and fortunately, it was. I like if you two watch Daryl in that episode. He's like, "You can't go with her." No, what does he say? He's like, "We don't know this girl."
Right.
You can't go with her.
And I was sitting there I was like, well, she knows the names and what's going on and who is who, so you can trust her. Come on, Daryl.
Unless they had Rick prisoner and had tortured him enough to get information about who he was with, in which case. That's what Daryl was probably thinking.
Well, Daryl is full of it.
We don't know this girl. You can't go with her. Don't get up on that horse. Daryl, chill.
Jeez. Right? Come on, man. Plus, do you really think that if somebody came up to you and told you that story, even if you had a doubt, you would still have to go because that's your kid,
Oh, yeah. And I mean, Lori reacted the way I think any of us would. I mean, if somebody rolled up, a complete stranger, and told you, named your kid and said they've been shot, and then said your man, your partner told them where you'd be like, okay, whatever. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die, but I'm not going to risk not going to be there if my kid's hurt.
Exactly.
And that's the...
Daryl just has a lot of issues, and trust is one of them.
That's a good observation. Absolutely. It definitely takes them a while to warm up to people.
Yeah. Definitely not in the first few seconds of somebody rolling up on a horse and,
smacking a zombie right upside the head. I always thought that was a really cool scene.
I bet he's attracted to her. She's on his level of zombie killing.
She was riding a horse. She's a country girl. Wonder if she don't shower like I do.
I don't know. She looks pretty clean, Daryl.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But no. So it's we've got Rick giving a ton of blood, and thank goodness he had the same matching blood type as his son. Oh, because man, imagine that.
Thank God they wrote that into the show.
Yeah, thank goodness for that plot, that blood type plot armor.
That really worked out.
Do you think Carl's going to survive?
Yeah. I think he is. Because that whole freaking episode was about that. So I just don't think they would spend that much time on an episode if he wasn't gonna survive.
What if it's subverting your expectations, though?
Which is definitely a thing that the show does. So
yeah, that definitely are some, and later on, I think one issue The Walking Dead has. So right now you're at the golden years of The Walking Dead where everything was fresh and nobody was safe and characters that you loved and you just think there's no way they would off this character. They'd straight kill. And then as the show progresses, they get to the point where you won't see a character for a while. or they're always kind of in the background. Then all of a sudden an episode will be super focused on them. And I mean, I remember watching it, as it was coming out, and you could be like, oh yeah, she's going to die. And then she died that episode. You just could call it.
You just described what I just said. So now I recount what I said.
I said in the future.
Oh.
Like as the show progresses, they get a little bit less unpredictable, but you still got several seasons of unpredictability. I mean, that's not until you get into like season 6, maybe 7 that they start getting to that point. But
okay.
No, it's still going to be quite unpredictable here for a while.
I'm looking forward to having my brain tickled.
Oh, and and that's why before we started the podcast, I had to ask Jessi with episode 2. I was like, all right, so start it with this and end it with this, right? Because of course I did my normal thing where like I went back and rewatched episode 2, but then I watched episode 3 and 4 and 5. It's like, crap.
How do you have time?
A lot of times, no kidding, it's while I'm doing something else. So like I cut it on. Yeah. Well, I think Friday night is. Like I laid down to go to bed, and like on the TV in our bedroom, I cut on episode 2 and watched it, and then I just wasn't tired, so then I watched episode 3, 4, and then Sunday was either Saturday or Sunday. I was folding laundry and like started it back again because I was like, hey, it can't hurt to watch it a couple of times and really remember everything about it. But then I got to like episode 7, so.
Jeez, that's a lot of laundry.
Oh yeah, it was. One listener pointed out a good point that I didn't think about. So I've been saying 16 episodes in the season. So it's 13 episodes in this season. And then next season, they get to the 16 episode seasons.
Well, that's my lucky number. So
yes, it is. It's your birthday. But yeah, I will definitely, I will definitely try to get like 2 or 3 of these out a week because they're pretty easy to do. With the Weird Wednesday, we always had to do research and stuff. So like with this, it's a little easier just to watch the episode and discuss it.
I agree.
What do you think about little Sophia? Do you think they're going to find her?
They have to. Dead or alive.
Do you think she's dead or do you think she's alive?
I don't know. I think she's dead.
She's going to come back and be the big villain in season 8.
Wait a second. Is she going to like come back? Is she going to, when they find her, is she going to be a zombie? She's
going to come back as a villain in later seasons and be like,
as a zombie villain?
You left me, Rick.
Now I'm going to eat your brains.
Which it is funny to think like Rick could outrun them. So again, that's another hindsight thing. Like, you just do what you do what comes to you instinctually. And Rick behaved, I think the way a cop probably would have, trying to think it out. And he had a sound plan if she would have stayed put.
Agreed.
Just stayed there. He came back for her after he dispatched the zombies. But realistically, if he could have just like picked her up and outran the zombies. And I liked his point, and the zombies do start getting slower as the show moves on. And I think that's because they start to decompose more and things like that.
They have less muscle mass.
Right. And, at this point they are, I mean, they're still slow, but not crazy slow. Like they still kind of walk at a brisk pace. So I liked his point of like, I get winded and they don't. Like they can just keep coming, and I'm sure carrying her would have made him get winded. So, I mean, I get what he was going for, but I feel like, I don't know. But then again, I've seen Rick as he progresses and zombies are nothing to him. So, right now I kind of forget that there's still a new challenge for everybody.
They're still figuring out the waters.
And he was in water. And the whole time, all I could think was, please don't get water on that python. It's such a pretty gun.
Oh, yeah, not that one. Any of the other guns are fine.
Right. Just don't get water on the python.
Well, okay, so when this whole Sophia thing started was when they started chasing her. She started running or something. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I'd said she can outrun these zombies.
Yep.
She's a little kid.
She tried to get out from under the vehicle too quick, which is, a dumb mistake, but she's a kid. So, kids don't always make the best decisions. So understandable. She would think the coast is clear and try to get out. And then there would still be a walker, and that walker chased her. And then of course, Rick chased after him. And that's the thing too, man. Like, kudos to my boy, Rick. Cause Rick didn't hesitate. Like, he just took off right after her.
Yeah. And the fact that Carol like tried to blame him, man, come on, dude. I like Carol, but
that's some BS.
Messed up.
That's some BS. Like, he got up and what would have happened if he didn't? None of y'all were running after her. I mean, I know Carol, I think, did eventually try to, and then somebody grabbed her so Rick could do his thing. But like, the dude went out there to save your daughter, so let's not blame him right now.
Anyways, that's another episode.
Yeah, but no, so up to this point, we've still got Carl in the bed. That scene, that had to be, you think about like with your kid, how hard it must be for Rick, like, because it was this episode where he was pulling the bullet fragments out and Carl's like screaming and stuff.
I could not deal with that, man. That would kill me.
You're killing him.
Aww.
You're killing him.
Poor Rick. He's so distraught. I hate to see him like that.
He's got a lot on his shoulders, man. And Andrew Lincoln, I'm telling you, as the show goes on, you'll see what I mean. Like, even just his acting, like when he comes out the door and he's like shell-shocked, like after he finally gets Carl in there with Herschel.
Yeah.
And, Herschel's basically like, look, we're going to do everything we can, but you got to give us some space. Like, basically like leave so we can do what we got to do. And the acting of like Andrew Lincoln when like Rick comes out the door and he's just kind of stunned and Shane, starts wiping the blood off of him. Like, that's some good acting.
Yeah. Well, like when they first brought him in and Rick walked up and he was like, is he alive? Is he alive? Mm-hmm. Is he alive? I think that's what he was saying. I don't think he was saying, is he dead? Whatever he was saying, like that got me, man.
Oh, yeah.
I think I actually did cry like a couple times throughout this episode.
Oh, this show is going to certainly make you cry.
Anything with kids, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because you think about your own kids, like how you would react in that situation, and it just like breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm. And so did this episode make you look at Shane a little differently? I mean, I know you're not going to like him, but did it make you look at him like he might have a little bit of humility to him?
A little bit, but at the same time, I feel like I think that he has some regret and what is the word I'm looking for? He feels bad, man. I think he feels bad and he's trying to like make up to himself all the things that he did wrong. Like he's realizing that he's a douchebag.
Yeah, and that it is a constant kind of like wondering, like, okay, we know that at one point he did truly love Rick as a brother, like they were tight and he really did care for him. But now we know obviously there's some jealousy there as far as Rick kind of taking over leadership of the group and getting back with Lori and getting Carl back, whereas Shane was kind of the, stepfather role. And, so you wonder, like, when he's, all that he's doing, it's like, I found myself wondering, like, does he really still care about Rick, or is all of this just in his own interest of trying to get what he feels is his family back?
How could you not, though? I feel like if my best friend, there's no way I could not feel the same a way about her or like love her as much. Like, unless there was something that she did to me, but Rick didn't do anything to him. So I think he does still care about him. It's more layers now.
And that's what I like about Shane's character. That's why I say he's a good character. There's so, like, there are points where it's like now, like, I think he truly cares about Rick and he's, trying to be there for him. But then there's times where, like, he flashes back to kind of being selfish and wanting it all for himself. And again, I think it's a good character because he plays like a real person who's really conflicted. Like, And like I said, it's all bad circumstances. I mean, barring his drunken, like, molestation attempt, I mean, it really, again, I've said it, but I'll say it again, like, Shane did not, none of this happened with bad intentions. Like, you know, he genuinely thought his boy was dead, and, you know, it just happened. And I mean, you know, and it does, sometimes it does just happen. So it's like, you know, he's, you know, so he's, like I said, I love the character of Shane. I just think that it adds so much more depth to the show that we wouldn't have had.
That's true. It really does. And I have to keep reminding myself of that. Like, if it wasn't for him being such a douchebag, what would I have to talk about?
Oh, yeah. And he plays him so well. Like, he plays that role so good. I mean, like, I really can't, like, there's other characters that'll pop up in the show that, like, when they were casting, they were in talks of, like, other people. Like, for instance, in the future, there's a character named Negan, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan does a great job, but John Hamm was someone they were looking at for the role. And in my opinion, I would love to see an alternate reality or version where John Hamm plays Negan, because I think he would be an awesome Negan. I think Timothy Olyphant, or however you say his name, was also in talks, or they were eyeing him or something. So, like, you know, but like with Shane, I really can't see anybody playing that role except for John Bernthal, because he, like, made it his own.
Yep.
And Andy Lincoln is Rick. You know, some people have, you know, I think we did a podcast years ago of, like, if the show had to be recast, who would be good in what roles. I think a lot of people are saying, like, Matthew McConaughey as Rick.
Ooh.
Which I actually could kind of see that.
I could definitely see that.
I don't know if we ever had anyone who could replace Shane, because I just don't know if anyone could have done it other than John Bernthal.
Those are some big earlobes to fill.
Jessi. You know what? You're gonna get the sound effect. How could you say that?
I'm sorry.
How could you say that?
I'm sorry.
It's because you have spiky hair now. I don't know where this punk ass attitude comes from. I'm gonna guess it's the spiky hair. Like, when your hair gets back to being long, you'll be like, oh, I would never say something so mean about someone.
Maybe. That could be true. I have, like, multiple personalities based on my hairstyle.
Absolutely.
All right. I can get down with that.
So where do you think everything? So, all right. So as we wrap this up, we leave, you know, the episode ends with Shane and Otis being surrounded, and it kind of looks hopeless. How do you think it's going to play out? Or do you think they're going to get the medicine? Well, not the medicine, but the equipment and stuff they need for Carl back? How do you think that's going to play out?
Yeah, and I think that they're going to get Carl feeling better, and they'll definitely figure out a way to get out of that situation, because they always do. And I think Carl lives, and I think Daryl and Maggie are going to fall in love, and Shane is going to stay with the group, and T-Dog's going to live because he got antibiotics, because Merle got the clap from time to time.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't even brought up yet. Yeah, what'd you think about that?
That made me laugh. I'm starting to like Daryl a lot.
He's like, why didn't you say something? He's like, what did he say? He's like, get your rag off my motorcycle, old man.
He's like, keep your oily rags off my brother's motorcycle.
He's like, and if you pay it, did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
No.
Well, if you pay attention, cool little Easter egg, Breaking Bad, which is another phenomenal show. Walter White cooks, he calls it blue sky. It's meth, but it's blue. And if you look in the bag with all those pills that he pulls out, there's Walt's blue meth. That's why some people have these theories that the shows are connected. It's really just Easter eggs. Because also the Charger Glenn was driving in season 1 was the Charger Walt bought for his son. And I'm pretty sure it's the exact same car they used in the show that they used on this one. But
that's just called cutting cost.
Right. Right. Yeah, but yeah, so we got and yeah, that is another part we didn't even discuss. I'm trying to cover everything, but well, I watched it back this weekend, and then I watched so many other episodes. So T-Dog had his moment, right, with Dale. Isn't Dale just the sweetest? Like the way he
really
handles
is.
T-Dog when T-Dog is, talking about being the only black guy and, all of that.
Yeah.
And then Dale's like, am I missing something? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, that redneck, if I'm not mistaken, went out of his way to save your ass on more than one occasion. Blah, blah, blah. But, Dale being the peacekeeper. And T-Dog, man, he's got what do they say, a blood infection?
Yeah. Yep. That's what Dale said.
And I think you and I joked about it, but then he said what we joked about when he says, he's like, man, ain't that the way it would happen? Like, Theodore Douglas, basically survives the zombie apocalypse. And
we did say that, and
Yep.
he said it. That's funny. I didn't even catch on to that. But yeah, I don't know, man. Dale, he was so level-headed, he realized that T-Dog was not being himself, and he was like, hold on, something's wrong. And then he checked for a fever. Like, he's another precious old man.
Yep. Herschel and Dale need to get together and have a baby, and it would be the most precious child on the planet.
It would come out like a precious old man.
I know it's biologically impossible, but if somehow they can make a baby.
I don't know. I've seen some little babies that look like old men.
What would they name if you wanted to combine Dale and Herschel? What would that be? Would that be Dershel?
Ugh.
Hail. We present our baby. Here is Hail.
They could name him Hail Dershel.
And then when he becomes a tyrant, that's what people will say. Hail Dershel.
That's a good name. I'm going to have to have another kid just so I can name him that.
It's like you decided you wanted another kid? No, but we came up with this really rad name from The Walking Dead, and I just had to use it. So you think...
We should...
go ahead.
We should pitch it to them, and maybe they'll crank out one more season.
So we got, I'm trying to think of all the events that transpired. So they ran to the house. They met Herschel. They started working on Carl. Carl's currently unconscious. Rick is giving him about 1,000 pounds of blood. And Shane and Otis have taken off to the high school to where the FEMA camp was so that they could gather supplies for the surgery that they need to do to save Carl's life. Maggie rolls up on a horse, bashes a zombie, totally badass, and picks up Lori, and they ride away into the sunset. And according to you, Daryl's just like, oh, baby.
I think so.
And Dale and T-Dog are on the side of the road, still kind of just, I love that everybody is like off, and they're just kind of like, all right. So
we're chilling.
Here we are.
So I wonder why the zombies would just hang out in one spot if there's no more people for them to be after.
Which zombies were just hanging out in one spot?
At the high school.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I like to think of it as there's fences. So maybe they just like really just couldn't find a way out, maybe. But that's a good point. I mean, they do kind of wander. I mean, like the herd that came through the street, they just were like walking in one direction.
Great band. No. But also on that note, like, how come sometimes when they go places, there's zombies, but there's also dead people that are not zombies? Because they could
have been shot in the head. Basically, any head trauma would stop them from coming back as a zombie. If the
I was thinking that they looked more like they never became a zombie and they just died, but they could have shot themselves.
Could have.
Or whatever,
Or they could have just died. I mean, are you referring to like they don't look very eaten or anything? Just dead bodies laying there?
Kinda, yeah. Like the military people. I don't know.
It's like there's a snack the whole time, zombies.
But also, why don't animals turn into zombies?
Because I guess it's just not transmittable to animals. Much in the way animals get some diseases that we can't get,
Okay. Because how freaking... Oh, my God. That would be so... that I'm just thinking about all the different zombie animals there could be. That's terrifying.
Oh, man. I know that this is unrelated to The Walking Dead, but we're getting ready to close this out. But there's a zombie game called Days Gone, and it's kind of like an open world game, but it's all about zombies and stuff. And in that game, animals can get infected. And like there's this one part, like I'm in this town, it's like an abandoned town, and I'm getting stuff, and all of a sudden I hear like this. And you keep in mind this is like an open world, so it's not really like cinematic or anything. It's just like stuff's happening, and all of a sudden I hear like this roar. And then all of a sudden I'm like, is that a fucking bear? And then I had like in the video game, I'm stuck on the roof as this big zombie bear is trying to get me. And I'm like, I get like straight up terrified. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Dude, the amount of zombie, like the crazy dreams that would give me. I'm probably going to have zombie dreams tonight.
Good.
But now they're going to involve zombie animals. So thanks. Well, I brought it up. So thanks to me.
And Resident Evil, they have plenty of animal zombies. Zombie dogs, zombie snakes, zombie crows.
No, I was thinking zombie birds. That is so scary.
If you play,
because they can swoop down. Just like,
that's what they do in Resident Evil. Oh yeah, the crows come after you.
No.
In Resident Evil Outbreak File 2, maybe there's like a zoo full of infected animals, including an elephant.
Shut up.
Like a zombie elephant. Oh yeah.
Thank goodness. Zombie elephant.
A zombie elephant.
Oh, that's so scary.
Oh, but I think that's going to wrap it up. I think we've covered most of the stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's a trillion other things we could dive into, but I think we've covered the main outline of this episode. So if you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, to comment, let us know what you think. Let us know what we, if there's something we didn't discuss, but we'll definitely be talking about episode 3 here soon because Schnitt is about to get wild, Jessi.
Yay.
Like wild. Next episode, Schnitt's going to get wild. So
I'm excited.
I'm excited for you, and I'm excited that you are excited. So, but we'll see you soon. I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. Catch you later.